Hey, what's going on, guys? Hopefully, everyone can hear me fine. This is the second YouTube live that I've ever done, so bear with me if it seems like I'm still getting up to speed. I am still working on getting up to speed. If you don't know how these work, I am committed to doing one every single week, where essentially, um, you just pop in, you ask your questions, and that's that. And if no one does end up popping in, hey, I'll just end up answering questions or talking about different things that are on my mind and strategies that you can use to help you throughout your breakup. But first, before I really get started going here, I'm actually going to ping my Facebook group to let them know that I am doing a YouTube live. So just bear with me here. And if you're new and uh, haven't really attended one of these before, hey, just pop your name in, tell me where you're from, and that's that. It'll be a great time. I'm doing a YouTube live on YouTube here. Let me see if I can get the actual channel. I'm never really good at remembering my channel name. Quite annoying. But yes. Let me see. All right. Let's ping that. Okay, so hopefully we can get some people coming in. If you are just logging in, don't be shy about introducing yourself and tell me a bit about your situation. Just say, hey, I'm blah, blah from Kansas or what have you. Um, I really, really want this to become a staple thing. And hopefully we get, I think we had like 17 people come on last time, which I thought was pretty decent. But don't be shy about asking your questions. Let's see. Lately, I've been getting a lot of questions about how to start a great text message with your ex. And I think the key to great text messages are curiosity, right? So you need to have some sort of intrigue that would cause an ex to look at the text message and think in their head, wow, I really, really want to respond to that. And there's a lot of different ways to do this. And we can talk about some if you guys want some, but I do notice there are now 5 people watching live. What's up, guys? If you're watching, don't be shy. Put your name in the chat and ask me your questions. I'm not super familiar with the sort of way YouTube lives are set up. I'm mostly used to doing Facebook lives, but this is a fun little thing to do. I'm going to be on here for probably around 35 to 45 minutes. So make sure you get your questions in while you can. And hey, what's up, Cynthia? Is that the Cynthia that I know from the Facebook group, or is this someone I've never met before? Hey, what's up, Kathleen? Hey, Cynthia. Well, I'm glad that you're able to come here and support me. So I was getting worried no one would actually ask a question, but or so here you are. I'm glad to have you here. What's up, Kathleen? I'm not gonna try your last name because I'm pretty sure I'll butcher it. But what's up? How are you guys doing? Welcome, welcome. If you guys have any questions about your breakups or your relationships or what have you, don't be shy about asking. What's up, S. Roland? Hey, Chris, lovely to see you. Lovely to see you too. What's up? So Kathleen says she's joining from the UK. Cool. What time is it there? It must be late. Con says from the Philippines. What's up, Con? Kathleen's just smiling with a crying emoji. Rupunki says, say something about long distance relationships. I think you mean long distance relationships, breakup, recovery. Okay. I'd be happy to talk about long distance relationships. Lately, we've been getting a lot of questions about long distance relationships. So I think the key, what's up, S. Roland? I'm glad that you're from the UK. So the key to long distance relationships, in my mind, there's really 3 elements that you really have to kind of keep an eye on. Number 1 is, do you have an overlying plan? Right. So, because if you're going to stay in a long distance relationship forever, it's probably not going to last very long. So both of you need to kind of agree to a plan to maybe potentially prolong the relationship once you, or make the relationships thrive once you break the long distance. You need to find a way to kill the distance, if you will. The other thing I would ask you is, do you have time? Right? A lot of people who are in long distance relationships don't have time to take off work to see their significant other. And you need to be seeing your significant other at least one time a month if you're in a long distance relationship. And that can be a hard thing to do. And the third thing I'd say is, do you have money? Sometimes a lot of people don't consider this, but it takes money to drive your car to see your ex, or drive your car to see your significant other, or ride in the plane, especially if it's a long distance thing where you're cross country and you're in a different country. That can be very expensive. Legacy, you were here the last YouTube live. I'm glad that you're here again. So Legacy says, hello again. We spoke briefly last week. I know she hasn't seen anyone since we broke up several months ago. Saw a post saying she's living her best life. Is there anything I can do to win her back? Well, certainly there's a lot of things you can do to win her back. The first thing I would say is just understand that your success is not linear. A lot of people think that getting an ex back is this linear process. It's going to go in a straight line and that everything's going to kind of work out the way you want it to. But oftentimes I think success is not linear at all. In fact, I think sometimes you have to take 3 or 4 steps back, and then you kind of take 4 or 5 steps forward. And it's just kind of like there's a lot of squiggles and you're going back and you're going forward. Just understand that's all part of the process. And that's a huge misconception that people have. So first off, I'd say understand that your success is not going to be linear. The second thing I would say to you is, what of the basic strategies have you utilized so far? A lot of people don't do something as simple as just charting out their results. That can be extremely helpful for you if you chart out your results and you're able to see what's working, what's not working. So I would say that. And as far as I'm pretty sure you're coming here and wanting me to actually tell you, like, okay, we'll do this, this, and this. Well, first off, I need more information about your situation. So there's only 11 people on these YouTube lives. Aren't as popular as my Facebook lives, but I'm working on that. But Legacy Press Publishing, my whole thing is, if you give me a little bit of background on your situation, I can probably help you a lot more about what you've tried and what you haven't tried. I mean, obviously you only have 200 characters to do that, but you can fit a lot into 200 characters. So open the floodgates. I'm happy to help. Rupunki says, is it okay to contact your ex when I have dumped him in a long distance relationship? I'm from India. Yes, but I think the timing and positioning are important to keep in mind here. You want to probably contact your ex after you have implemented a no contact rule. That seems to be the standard strategy everyone uses, but how I recommend people to use it is maybe a little bit different. I recommend people to use the no contact rule for 3 different time frames: the 21-day rule, the 30-day rule, or the 45-day rule. So you pick which one you think is going to work best for your situation. I would say stop by our website and actually read the post I wrote on no contact, so that you can kind of figure out which of those time frames is going to be best for you. The other thing I would say to you is, you want to probably be the first one reaching out. And whatever text message you use to reach out to them needs to be good. It needs to be really interesting. So if you haven't done the no contact rule, make sure you do that. The other one last thing I would mention with the no contact rule, don't just sit on your thumbs and hope everything works out for you. Be active in posting things on social media and getting out and having fun with your life. That stuff is infectious. If your ex sees you having a great time without them, they're going to get a little irked because they want you to be miserable without them. What's up? Charlie says, hey, Chris and everyone. I'm so glad I caught you live. Well, I'm glad that you're here. S. Roland says, Chris, I've tried the no contact rule probably for too long, but after a year, he wrote back, albeit 4 weeks ago. What should I do now? Text or leave it up to him? He blows hot and cold with me. Okay. So, everything, just understand that I'm answering you in very general ways because I don't know your situation like the back of my hand. Like a lot of times when I'm working with coaching clients, I know their situation. I know everything that happened, and I can really offer the point on advice. What I will say to you though is, momentum, like if you want to get your ex back, momentum is an important thing to build, and it's actually arguably one of the most difficult things to build. So you cannot build momentum by staying in the no contact rule forever. So my recommendation to you is reach out to him, is try to spark up a conversation, try to get some rapport building back and forth, and build up that kind of a snowball effect of what's the adjective I'm looking for? The I, gosh, I drew a blank on the adjective. You just build a snowball effect of momentum. There it is, momentum. I'm an idiot. Kathleen says, is no contact beneficial for grass is greener and rebound relationships? Yes, it certainly is. In fact, contrary to popular belief, a lot of people think that if your ex is in a rebound relationship, or if they believe that the grass is greener on the other side and they're looking out there, the best thing to do is do a short no contact period. Make sure you do like a 21-day rule, right? But I've actually found through working with people that that's false. And it makes a lot of sense if you actually think about it in this way. And sometimes you have to do a little bit of a paradigm shift. So here's what I found, Kathleen. Oftentimes when you're doing a 21-day rule, your ex is in the most positive place in that relationship with the other woman, if you will. Why? Well, because they're in the honeymoon period. And so this is going to be this is actually, I was doing a Facebook Live and talking about this exact phenomenon yesterday, and I drew kind of this I don't know if you could see it, but I drew this kind of little graph here. Now this graph is meant to represent the feelings or how your ex feels about someone, right? So you can see right here, like when you first start dating someone, that's when your emotions are at their highest. But slowly but surely, it's going to kind of go down until it finally plateaus, right? So the worst time to try to get your ex back is right when they're there and they're dating someone else. The best time to try to get their ex back is when they're right there. So that's actually why I recommend longer no contact periods, to get more time to go by for that honeymoon period to sort of plateau. Dorothy Field, how are you doing? What if you break your breakup, you accidentally slept with your ex, and after that he's been sweet to you and all, and he says I love you and we go on dates, but after he says he doesn't want monogamy anymore? Well, this is actually one of the reasons that I don't think sleeping with your ex is ever a great idea. Because in my experience, what happens is you draw this proverbial line in the sand. You let them know through your actions that it's okay for them to sleep with you without an actual relationship in place. And then once they get a taste of that, they don't want to go back to kind of the normal relationship type stuff. So here's my sort of workaround, right? Really what you need to do is friend zone them, as weird as that sounds, because there is a certain amount of positioning in play here where they think that they're better than you. They think that they can get you whenever they want. You have to do something to make them think differently. Albert Einstein's famous for saying, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. Well, if you keep sleeping with your ex and things seem to be going well, but he's not committing to you, or he's not getting into a monogamous relationship with you, you have to change something up. You're just going to keep getting the same results over and over again if you just keep doing the same things. So what I would say is you need to get him to kind of switch his view of you. And what I would say is try to find a way to subtly friend zone him. An example of this is invite him. Let's say you're moving your apartment or something. Invite one of your other guy friends over as well as him and get them both to help you so that he understands he's on a level playing field with you. He's not special. And I think you'll find an interesting perception shift on his part. All right, guys. Hey, if you guys have any questions, seriously, I'm almost to the end of the questions here. I'm going to stay on here for about 20 more minutes. So fire away. I hope you guys have as many questions as you possibly can get in, because believe me when I say I want to help and answer as many questions as possible. So let's move on to Trolley. Kathleen, I think no contact is beneficial no matter the circumstances, with a few very specific exceptions, not only to make your ex miss you, but also to give yourself time to work on yourself. That's right on. I would say actually the no contact rule, if you want statistics, it's really hard to find statistics in this industry, because no one really big talks about it, and no one in the in the psychology today is going to go out and get someone to do an actual research on it just because they're more interested in more general type things. Luckily, I've had about 100,000 people comment on ex-boyfriend recovery. So I've got a lot of data, and I've actually had thousands of success stories. And I'm not even kidding you. I would actually be willing to put the volume of success stories that I've gotten, me and my team have gotten, up against anyone else. I'm not afraid to get on and interview these people to figure out what they did, what worked. What I've found is really kind of interesting. In my on my website, I've been able to connect the no contact rule to 70% of the success stories. 70. So that means that in all out of all the success stories that I've had that I've been able to track through through my website, 70% of those people have used the no contact rule or attempted to use the no contact rule in some way, shape, or form. Now, this is interesting. When I actually look at my private Facebook group, now the private Facebook group, if you don't know, we actually run a private Facebook group. Me and Anna, who's another coach for ex-boyfriend recovery. We kind of do joint Facebook lives once a week and give people deals, kind of like coaching, things like that. But we only the Facebook group is only for people who have purchased any kind of product from us, right? So it's a collection of individuals who are very motivated to get their exes back, right? So we get to kind of work with them a little bit. They get some support from other members and everything, and it's kind of a cool thing. But I've actually found that around 95% of those people who have gotten their exes back use the no contact rule. So the no contact rule is a very important strategy to definitely employ if you want your ex back. In fact, I would argue that it is the most important strategy, but here is the fly in the ointment. You cannot expect the no contact rule alone to get your ex back. That's not how it works. I'd say if you're going to kind of put a puzzle together, the no contact rule would probably accompany about 50% of the puzzle. Only half of the puzzle is complete. You have to do the other 50% if you want to get your ex back. So that's kind of, there you go. And Kathleen says, thanks, Trolley. Brianna, I did 30 days of no contact, and I messaged him today about a jacket I thought I left at his house. Oh, my wife, she actually just did a video on this exact thing. He responded, but didn't say anything else. I'm assuming going back into no contact. No. So Brianna, when you're talking to your ex, it's all about building momentum up, right? So talking and starting a conversation about a jacket is not a great momentum builder, but coming and telling him maybe an interesting story that happened to you, or really, I find that exes respond really well to shared interests, right? So things, and this is kind of the other thing that I think a lot of women and men really kind of screw up when they actually text their ex. Your ex doesn't care about you. I want you to understand that. They don't care about you. So if you're talking about things related to you, they're going to lose interest. But if you talk to them about things that are interesting to them, you'll find you're going to have a lot of a easier time getting them to kind of act the way you want them to act. Okay, Legacy says, I'm only her boyfriend. She was abused as a child, trust issues on her end, pride issues on mine. She was very inexperienced with basic relationships. Her friends always wanted to hang. She struggled to balance. Okay. Therefore, lots of fighting. We were great, then really fell and fast. We worked together, tried the email approach, no contact, neither worked well. During no contact again, since we no longer work together. Okay, so Legacy, to me, it seems like, and this is a common problem that I see that a lot of people have. And hopefully no one takes offense to this, but I think what happens is, you come and let's say you come to my website and you read about some of the stuff that I teach, right? And then you say, okay, that's kind of cool. And then you go on YouTube and you see some of my competitors, right? And you see some of their stuff, and their stuff is sort of similar, but quite different. And you kind of take the best pieces from each. And I actually think that's a huge mistake. Why? Because each strategy is geared towards working for that particular all-encompassing strategy. So you can't just take bits and pieces of my strategy and stick it into someone else's strategy. In fact, they'll kind of work against each other. So what I think is, you probably went to some of the free advice forums out there, or free advice websites out there, and you thought you kind of have a great sort of strategy, and you ended up probably just having like this really kind of Frankenstein looking strategy. It's better just to stick to one clear strategy and see it through to the end. Now, I will say the no contact rule, and what else did you said? The email approach. So the email approach, what is this email approach? So the way I teach what I like to call the value chain. So value chain is essentially the blueprint from point A to point B. It's basically everything that happens in there. So point A is where you are right now, listening to this YouTube live. Point B is, hey, that's where you want to be. That's where you get your X back, right? So I actually recommend the following process. This is sort of the general guidelines that I've seen work the best. The first step is you utilize a no contact rule, anywhere from 21 to 45 days. Obviously, I would say the documentation is to look at the at my website at the no contact rule article I wrote, so that you can figure out what's the best time frame for you. Next, after that, you're not going to do any kind of email thing. You're going to go very slowly and build up a foundation of attraction through text messaging. So you're going to kind of text your ex back and forth, get some rapport kind of being built, get them familiar with you, because we don't fall in love with someone unless we feel familiar with them. And then after that, you're going to kind of up the attraction a little bit by talking on the phone. Then once you kind of do the same thing, you get them a little bit more familiar, you maybe flirt a little bit more, you start pushing for that in-person interaction, that date. And then you kind of take the same process. You get them more familiar, you get them flirting more, you get them feeling and obsessing about you. Then you can do the things necessary to get that sort of relationship that you want, the commitment that you want. So I think your issue is probably that you're sort of scattered around what you're trying, and you need just kind of one defined approach. Cynthia. So Cynthia is actually a member of our private Facebook group. I said like, hey guys, I'm doing a YouTube live on my Facebook group. I told them that, and she was kind enough to come over here and ask a question. So here's her question. We've talked about my situation. I will never be able to be on the same page as you. I remember 17 out of 35 days into second no contact. I've been leveraging the jealousy pics with my social media plan really well. For a man that has said that, does jealousy still work / shift his perspective from the never statements, or will he lay back because he always wants the best and she's happy, etc.? Is there any more to that, Cynthia? He's also not an avoidant, mainly extroverted, can be a tad introverted. Anna and I have deduced mainly secure and partially anxious. I'm definitely anxious attachment. I think most of the people who we work with are anxious attachments. Okay. A lot to unpack here. I think, okay, so the issue in your situation, and I've had some time to think about it, is the fact that he doesn't necessarily view you maybe as girlfriend material anymore. And I think that's the problem. And I think what you have to do is kind of get him to sort of think the opposite about you. I'm glad that you didn't go see him, Cynthia. I really am, because that kind of, I know we talked on the phone about this. Actually, Cynthia is a coaching client for Anna and I talked on the phone with her about her situation. And it's really interesting, because I had told you, Cynthia, that if you go there, it kind of makes you look desperate, right? And I think I even talked about the timing and the positioning aspect of it. I think your issue more is a position standpoint, right? The timing is, maybe you can even make an argument for timing because he's got that new job and he's obsessed about the new job. But I think more than anything, that the hard part for a lot of people throughout this process is that it doesn't happen overnight. And kind of as human beings now, with the way the world is, we get instant results. It used to be when you'd go driving in your car to try to find a town or something, you'd have to pull out an actual map and follow the lines and everything. But now all you have to do is have a phone. You're just phone it and just GPS it, and it does all the work for you. You get the instant results. And I think part of that's difficult because with relationships, you don't get instant results. So I think it's one of those things that I think you're doing everything you can at this point. It's just being patient. And also I think being mentally understanding that, look, in order to get this guy, I think I'm going to have to feel like I'm going to lose him, right? Understanding that, having that mindset of where you're willing to lose him and willing to just get rid of him and move on, I think that's an important thing for you to accomplish. Even if you don't feel that way internally, Cynthia, I think it's something that you need to people need to see from the outside, because if your ex sees you like moving on, all of a sudden the positioning is a little bit different. He's not the god he thinks he is. S. Roland says, if your ex doesn't do social media, what next? I'm living my life for me, but he knows no different about what I'm doing. With a third party involved, how can I convince him I'm the one? You always got to be careful when you involve third parties in this, because sometimes they just don't listen to anything that you sort of say, or don't deliver the message, quote unquote, that you want them to deliver. I would say, no matter what, still post on social media, because you'd be shocked at how many men aren't very social. They don't have like their social media presence up, but they'll still look. And I think recent studies have found that 90% of exes will Facebook stalk after a breakup. So if that doesn't tell you that people are curious about what their exes are doing, I don't know what will. The other thing I would say is, really the way that you would kind of have to approach this is have some visual proof of all the great things that you're doing. And then when you actually do start talking to him, slowly unpack those in your text messages, for example. So let's say that you went skydiving. I know it's kind of crazy, but he was always kind of an adrenaline junkie, and you decided you're going to go skydiving alone. And you could actually like come up with a really cool text message about like, hey, guess what? Right. And he's sort of like, what? And then you send this picture of you skydiving. That's a way to show him. I think pictures can sort of be an important way of doing that, especially if he's not involved in social media. All right. Horrific. Hopefully I said your name right. Sorry if I didn't. Hey, help me regarding meeting up with my ex. This is the first time we'll be meeting. I asked her and am waiting for her reply. Thanks. Okay, well, I'll be happy to help you. Number one is, how did you ask her? And I find oftentimes it's not so much how you ask the person, it's what you've done before you ask the person. So let me ask you that. What have you done before you've asked her to position yourself to get a yes? Con, should I unblock my ex in social media? Absolutely. Yeah, I actually think social media is one of the best and most underrated weapons throughout this process. A lot of women think that it's okay. A lot of women and men think that it's okay to block their ex on social media. I say, why? It's a weapon. They can watch you from afar. And if they see you from afar, they're just going to want you more. Penny says, hey, Chris, we spoke about me getting an ex back, though. He wasn't the ex I joined this group for. We have been spending all my free time with, and he spends 2 nights playing cards and singing. Karaoke. We are going to go away next weekend with friends. I'm not bringing up that I know he's still online dating, waiting to see if he's willing to make this committed relationship. How long should I wait to bring this up? Well, I think how long you should wait to bring it up. Obviously, don't spring it on him now. Wait some time. I think the more interesting question for you, though, is how do you bring it up? Not when, but how. And I think if you're going to bring something up like this, you want to make sure that your ex is in a very, very, very good mood, or your partner's in a good mood. And you also want to make sure that your tone is proper. There's nothing more off-putting than someone who is almost a violent and very aggressive in their tone. You almost want to seem like that you're not even bothered by it, so that they're not put off and they'll be very receptive towards whatever you have to say. And I think that will be kind of okay. But I would say first, before you bring up the online dating, I would say the enemy, that the sort of perception stereotype that women have is that they're emotional for crazy reasons, right? So I would say wait until something happens, or he makes some sort of forward commitment with you. Like if he takes you, if he does something with you that he would do with a girlfriend or someone that he's committed to, I think that's an indication of, okay, you shouldn't be online dating, right? So that's an indication of when you could probably bring it up. All right. So Nick, hey, Chris, Nicola from your Facebook group. What's up? Found out today my ex has a date. He's working away currently, and the girl he has a date with is from that area, which is 3 hours away. I'm worried he's moving on. Okay. Believe it or not, I think it's really normal for people to want to move on after a breakup. So don't like think it's like this abnormal thing and that you're the first person that's ever experienced this. That's not the case. What I will say to you is that we've had actually probably most of our success stories lately have been exes and rebound relationships or exes moving on. So I kind of don't get intimidated when that happens. And if this girl's 3 hours away, that is not as appealing as someone maybe no, just so I have this straight. You said 3 hours. Is it the girl who's 3 hours away, or is it you who's 3 hours away? All right. Brianna says it was really more about the jacket than starting a conversation at this point. I was just wondering if it might create an opportunity. Well, I think obviously not. If he didn't sort of respond to you since, I think if you want to create an opportunity, you have to at least come up with something a little bit more creative than like, "Hey, I left my jacket at your place." That's just my take on it, though. Trolley, do you have any tips to get out of the friend zone? Yes, the best way to get out of the friend zone is change their perception of you. So you put them in the friend zone. You basically mirror their actions. Um, okay, just a few more because I'm already at my sort of limit here. I'm at the 30-minute limit. I don't want this to go too long. So I'm gonna just kind of pick on people who I haven't answered before, or looks like everyone I've answered before. So I'll just try to get to the end. Charlie, I already did a no contact period after getting rejected and helped with my emotional state. Now we're back to talking every day like usual. Okay. So now the key for you, Charlie, is you're at that stage where you're trying to up the intensity and the frequency. Well, I think the frequency is kind of good, but you're trying to up the intensity of the messages, right? You're not going to say like, I love you. You need to build that foundation first. So I would say try to build enough attraction or try to have a reason to get to talk to him on the phone or talk to her on the phone. I think it's a him though. So a good example of that is start telling a story and then just say, you know what? I have to talk to you on, I have to finish the story over the phone. Have a reason. So that you'll have kind of a bridge there. All right. Yasmina says, "Hey, my ex has someone else, but talks to me about the mistakes that we could have avoided in our relationships. Why?" I think it's clear he's thinking about you. It's really kind of normal for that to happen. It just means that he's thinking maybe potentially fondly because he's thinking of things that you could have done to prevent the breakup. Let me see, Yasmina, have you tried anything in our process yet? Have you determined if you want your ex back or not? Okay, just a few more guys. Sylvia, I hope I said your name right. My ex has a birthday soon, and I still wonder how I should behave. Wish him happy birthday or remain in no contact. Okay, you never. This is my take, and my take I think is right on the money. But again, that's just me. If your ex has a birthday in the middle of your no contact period, it really won't do anything to break the no contact rule and wish them a happy birthday. The best thing that you can hope for is that you get a happy you say happy birthday to them and they say thanks. That's it. They're not going to like all of a sudden, just because you wished happy birthday, drop on their knees and beg you to come back. I've never seen that happen, not once. So all it ends up doing is by breaking the no contact rule for wishing your ex happy birthday, you're engaging that addiction of talking to them. And it's making the no contact rule more difficult and it kind of sets you back. And I think it's more impactful if you don't wish them a happy birthday. That's like a super common question I get. Yasmin says Max has someone else and he flirts with me and he tells me we never know the future, we might get back, and he talks to me in a warm way. What should I do if I want him back? Oh, good question. Well, this might be hard for you to wrap your mind around, but I think if you haven't done a no contact rule, this is the time. Don't be intimidated and think that they'll get closer together. They're already close together if they're dating, right? So I don't know if you were here when I did the whole I did this chart yesterday, and this kind of really talks about how someone feels in a relationship, right? You go through this honeymoon period, that's like the top right there, but slowly but surely it kind of goes down until it plateaus. That's your feelings for that person. You do not want to try to get your ex back when he's right here with the other woman. You want to try to get the ex back when he's right here. So the no contact rule can kind of help prolong that process. The other thing I would say is you want to try the being there method. So the being there method is by simply inserting yourself into the situation. In fact, give me a minute. I actually did a video on this, and this will probably help describe exactly what you should be doing, because here it is. Sorry, let me get the all right, I am going to literally put it in the thing for you, Yasmina. So click on that, watch that, and that will explain everything that you're supposed to do. Simona says, is it okay to stay in touch with an ex that you still love, but he moved away and got someone else? Of course. It just matters sort of, it sort of matters. I think no matter what, it's fine. My Yuri says, I got a big crush on someone. We talk every day. He said he got a crush as well. Well, what can I do to make him envy me much more? Because I want to have a serious relationship with him. Well, I think number one, if you've got a foundation built, I think the fear of loss is something that you can utilize. Okay, I think that might be it. I think it might have answered at least everyone once. Again, I'm going to try to make this into a weekly thing, doing these Facebook lives, doing these YouTube lives. So if you want to give us some love, I would really appreciate that. And more than anything, I think right now we'd love to have subscribers. So if you want to subscribe to our YouTube channel, please do. My wife and I, we're making daily videos for getting an ex back, or sometimes just general relationship ideas. So yes, I can't wait to sort of hopefully talk to you guys more. And I will see you hopefully next week in another live stream through YouTube. This was a blast. And hopefully the more subscribers we get, the more people will show up to these. Bye.